Fox News alert right now. President Joe Biden making it official, announcing his 2024 re-election campaign.
Freedom, personal freedom, is fundamental to who we are as Americans. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred. That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy. This shouldn't be a red or blue issue. To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it. But you know, around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote. When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America. I know we're good and decent people. I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor. We believe that everyone is equal, that everyone should be given a fair shot to succeed in this country. Thank you for choosing us. Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights. And this is our moment. We, the people, will not decide. So if you're with me, go to joebiden.com and sign up. Let's finish this job. I know we can, because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
So there you go. That is almost the entire 3 minutes of Joe Biden's launch video. It came out 3 minutes and 2 seconds ago. It was embargoed. We all saw it a little earlier this morning. It's very clear. If you remember last year, and it was 4 years ago to the day that he announced that he was running back in 2019, in the video that launched his campaign last time, he had the theme of Remember Who We Are. And in this one, once again, the theme is Remember Who We Are. But this time, he also focuses on January 6th, abortion, MAGA Republicans. You see images of Ron DeSantis, of Donald Trump, of Matt Gaetz. And he talks about how Republicans are going to take your Social Security. They're going to ban books. It's all about freedom, and it's all about rights.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I noticed. It was really more of a social campaign, saying that he's slamming the MAGA Republicans, calls them extremists who want to cut Social Security, which we saw on the House floor was not true, or in the Hill, or on the Hill. They want to cut taxes for the wealthy, he says. They want to focus on treating everyone, or we want to focus on treating everyone with dignity. Republicans want to ban books, dictate women's health care decisions, tell people who they can love. And Republicans make it difficult to vote, he says. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights.
Yeah, I was struck by, the whole banning books thing. Well, it depends on how you look at it. They don't want to put Huck Finn in the library. They think it's culturally inappropriate. They don't think there should be sexually explicit books in grammar school libraries. If that's banning books, I think Republicans are guilty as charged. Who do you love? I thought we got done with this. If you're talking about transgender sports, I think Republicans would welcome that debate. Also, publicly financing transitioning, I think that's interesting, and making it harder to vote. Or you could say putting integrity into voting. This is where Republicans going to have to tackle one-on-one. But if that is Joe Biden projecting himself, selling himself, he sounds like he's doing a golf tournament. He sounds like he's whispering in the background. Instead of taking charge, I'm in charge, this is what I've done, this is what I'll do, he's just basically trying to say, look how bad the other guys are. And that is his what he thinks is, and Democrats think, is his strongest
Brian,
sell.
who's behind this? Like, who's really running the campaign? I mean, if you listen to so many people, last night Vivek Ramaswamy and Tulsi Gabbard were saying that Vivek said, I see myself as running against a managerial class with a puppet in front of it. It strikes me as closer to a form of elder abuse. And then Tulsi Gabbard said something that shocked the live audience last night on Sean Hannity's show. She said for them to stay in power, they need Biden to run in this re-election. And when he can't function anymore, then they're going to install their puppet, Kamala Harris, to become the unelected president of the United States. Then she runs again in 2028 with the power of the incumbency behind her. They want someone that they control.
Yeah, she's not competent, though, and she hasn't proven it.
She wasn't in the video.
Yeah, barely. I look at what Donald Trump said. He said you could take the 5 worst presidents in American history, put them together, and they would not have done the damage that Joe Biden has done to our nation in just a few short years.
So what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pictured right there, what they're going to focus on, keep in mind, today they did officially announce they are running for re-election. However, don't expect to see many changes. You won't see any big campaign rallies for many, many months.
Ever.
There will be apparently a donor summit at the White House on Friday, where essentially they say, okay, we're going to run for president. We probably need $2 billion. Right. Who's in?
A lot of bumper stickers.
Meanwhile, regarding the team, it looks as if the campaign manager is going to be Julie Chavez Rodriguez. She's the granddaughter of Cesar Chavez, the labor organizer from California. Principal deputy campaign manager will be Quentin Fulks. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Jen O'Malley, who was the previous campaign manager, along with Anita Dunn, who's the communications person, will remain at the White House. And there you see some of the leadership chairs that they are officially announcing as of 7 minutes ago.
So what's interesting is hanging over all of this is a recent poll by a friendly outlet that said only 26% of Americans think he should run again. 70% said he should not. And 74% of 18 to 34s, an area in which he dominated Donald Trump, says he should not run again. Donald Trump, 35% said he should run, 60% said shouldn't. So this is a rematch, and the front story on Politico is that Democrats want. They think they can, this is the man to beat Trump. The big difference is Trump put his report card up and it's been stapled to the wall. And now we have 3 years, 2.5 years of Joe Biden. And a lot of people say, Republicans say, instead of the theory of a moderate president that is going to bring stability to the White House, please explain to me where that is. And you mentioned Susan Rice. She is now out. Who knows if she's going to play a role in this, but she thought to be doing most of the domestic policy. And at least somebody behind the scenes who expressed outrage at Xavier Becerra and how he allowed the border to collapse and how incompetent he is, including many reports. We think that from the outside. She was saying it from the inside.
Do you remember we talked about the Trojan horse? I think that's what's happening. They elected him on the moderate stance. Everyone thought he's going to be moderate. People who didn't like Trump, they voted for. They voted for Joe Biden, thinking he was going to be in the middle, more in the middle. He kept saying, I want to unite. I want to bring everyone together. He campaigned from his basement, other people in charge of his campaign. And then now they get him in office and they can control him. Well, and he votes the way that they want him to vote. And then their agenda, if Tulsi Gabbard's right, they'll get Kamala Harris in and they'll control the White House for, 4 different cycles in a row.
Here's what they're going to run on. They're going to focus on the accomplishments, and this is how it breaks down. They're going to focus on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That appeals to their union base. They're going to focus on climate change. That focuses with the younger people who are more environmentally interested. They're going to focus on health care, which is of interest to everybody pretty much in the United States, but of particular interest to seniors. So those things, and his record is good on those things. Meanwhile, on the other side, you got Ron DeSantis. I know he was on with Sean last night, and Sean was trying hard to get him to say, okay, I'm in. Does he do it? Stay tuned.
So I've said from the election of 2022, when people started asking me, we got a legislative session that we're working on. We've got a few more weeks to go with that. We're going to be putting up a lot of wins on the board. And so I'm not going to be making any announcements before that's concluded.
Okay, are you leaning one way or another?
Stay tuned.
Well, that's
Stay
interesting.
tuned. We've heard that. Until the Florida legislature's done.
I wonder what Trump will say about that. He did release, or he was talking last night about Joe Biden running, and he said he refers to the Biden administration as a failure. He did say that about the 5 presidents combined. He said it's almost inconceivable that Biden would even think of running for re-election.
Yeah, the one thing, I think the number one issue the Republicans have to work out, and I have not seen a coherent message, is on what you mentioned, abortion. But the rest of the stuff, I think the Republicans could feel totally confident saying, yeah, there were things about the infrastructure bill. That's why we got 15 senators that we liked. Let's see how they execute and get it done. On climate change, I think it's more of an argument that the Republicans want more than ever, because they're seeing how, in all practicality, it's affecting people's lives, between the price of gas, between the fossil fuels, between licensing out our national security, and knowing that every electric car you buy is a feather in the cap to the Chinese, because they own 70% of all the battery power, and they own most of the rare earth, and the places where they don't own the rare earth, like Afghanistan and the Congo, they've lassoed it up and now have total influence of that area, if not control of those areas. So there's an easy way to tell that story, which is in the national interest. And then when you look around at the world falling apart but before our eyes, we have abandoned 4 embassies since the president took over. We see what happened in Afghanistan. We see our influence waning in the Middle East, the collapse of the Abraham Accords before our eyes. Latin America being licensed to the Chinese, not a word as Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia go into socialist, communist orbit. And that was not taking place over the previous regime. The question is, who can message better and who's got the energy? One thing is clear. Joe Biden can't do the messaging. Donald Trump can. So if you don't like Donald Trump's message, that's probably not going to work for you. But if you want to hear the other side, you'll hear it. With Joe Biden, you're going to need a slick tape or a surrogate.
You're not going to hear all sides in the DNC. If you're a Democrat and you're looking at all the candidates, you won't hear them on the debate stage during the primaries. And some of the candidates are upset. Marianne Williamson said that this is unconstitutional. It's undemocratic. It's unfortunate. You're acting like there are no other candidates that are running on the Democratic side. And then Nina Turner, who used to work for Bernie Sanders, his campaign, says undemocratic. It robs the voters of choice. That is supposed to be the democratic process. And
right.
the Republican National Committee is now launching a website so they can fact check Joe Biden in real time. It's called factcheckbiden.com, because they say that he's lying about his record, that our borders are not safe, our borders are not secure, our economy is not strong, and the Afghanistan withdrawal was not a success.
Yeah, I'm sure people are looking at that right now. Apparently, according to insiders in the campaign, essentially, they are betting that Donald Trump will be the candidate, and so they are planning accordingly. And what they're doing is they're ramping up the criticism of all Republicans, calling them MAGA extremists. He was at a Union Hall in Maryland a couple of days ago. He referred to MAGA 21 times. So clearly, they're trying to do that. And when you watch the imagery, and you got to admit, it's Brian, you said slick. It is a very well-produced rollout ad for Joe Biden. The big question
Not
becomes,
exactly NFL films and inspiration.
Well, listen, for his crowd who voted for him before, to your point about the NBC poll that came out a couple of days ago, where it's like 70% say don't run. Well, now he's running. So then the question becomes, okay, if you voted for him before, since he's the only one, are you going to support him? Or are you going to support, and this is going to be their line, the MAGA extremists, whoever that is?
And you know what's going to be interesting is the Hunter Biden story as it simmers and as it relates to Joe Biden and the 6 things James Comer says, the disturbing decisions the vice president and president have made as it relates possibly to his business dealings. So this whole thing could catch momentum and go a small show to a major show on the side.
Well, if there's something there, and the Republicans have plenty of runway to find something if it's there.
Hunter Biden, he is scheduled to appear in court May 1st down in Arkansas for his baby's mama, who wants him in jail, says he's not releasing his financial records through discovery.
Imagine that. Why would he not want to release his financial records? Give me a second. I'm sorry, I'm ran out of time. I guess we should take a break.
Maybe James Comer could give them to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Put his AirPods in and talk to us.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.